over time, if you've been listening to us for a while, we have offered so many different processes and guided you in so many different mindsets to help you get a sense of this focusing of this energy. We talked about pivoting in the beginning. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So think about what you do want. But it's easier said than done, isn't it? Because where you are is where you are, and law of attraction keeps dishing up more thoughts like where you are. So it's all well and good for Abraham or someone to say to you, focus upon what you want, but if what's active in your vibration is the absence of it, then it's not all that easy to focus upon what you want. So then we began talking about just reach for the better feeling thought. Don't try to go all the way home. Don't try to get all the way into the pure positive energy. Just find something that's a little less negative. Find something, just lean a little in the direction. Try to find a better feeling thought. We offered processes like focus wheels and all kinds of things to get you thinking more in the direction of what you want. And many of you have made progress along the way. But today, we want to talk about something that we believe is infinitely more productive. And your question really cues it up in a powerful way. Because we know that the most significant thing that you must let go of before you can be the allower of all of the things that you want, you have to let go of your opinion and observation of being without it. In other words, you have to stop feeling not enough relative to the things that you want. And you would stop feeling not enough to the things that are the opposite. You would naturally do it if you could just distract yourself from it. It's not that you have to ferret it out and wrestle it to the ground and kill it. You don't need a search and destroy mission. What you need is a deactivation mission. You need a untangling mission. You need a let loose of it. You need a lightening up mission. You need an ease and flow mission. And so it's the reason that this getting into the vortex guided meditation process was created, because we see that what you are really reaching for is a vibrational shift that you have a hard time accomplishing in the midst of your very busy, very compelling, very real, very observable life. You have to find a way of detaching from it. Do you like being deliberate creator? Yes. Are you on the verge, or have you moved into the understanding that this is a vibrational universe in which you live? Do you accept that through the directing of your thoughts that you focus the energy, that's how you create? Does it please you to know that knowing what you don't want helps the process? So does it make you want to be a little more patient with yourself in the interim before things manifest? Are you approaching the willingness to want to go to the vortex for the feeling of it rather than for the manifestation of it? Because once you get there, once you say, my vortex is my objective, because there I am whole and therefore feeling good, and then I will focus specifically. Now you are really a powerful, deliberate creator. And here's why. People often think that it is the setting of the goals that is the creative work. Well, the creative work happens when you're in the middle of a relationship that's no fun. That's when you put more fun. The creative work is when you're sifting through what you don't want, knowing what you do want. In other words, the creative work is the sifting, sorting process. That's the creative work. You've done it, 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 you've done it. The creative work is there. Then people think, oh, I have to get really specific about this thing that I want. But when they're really specific, when they don't have it, what do? They hold themselves away from it. You follow that, don't you? We've been talking about that all morning. So when they're not in the vortex and they're really specific about what they want, I want this person to be this tall and have this much money and have this color of eyes and to call me this and to do these things and to have this agenda and to have this heart. When you're saying all of those things and you're not in the vortex, but you're being specific because you think you're supposed to be specific, because that surely must be what deliberate creating is, you just hold yourself out there, having more experiences you don't want, more experiences that you don't want. Too specific. But then you get general. You get general, you quiet your mind, you bask more, you have a massage, you put your feet in the water, you pet your cat, you listen to the meditation CD, you listen to music, you do more of those things that ratchets the specifics down, 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 down. So you're more general, more general, more general, more general, more general. And then you flow right into the first lock of the vortex canal. And now, when you think about what you want, you do it because it feels good to think about what you want, not because you're trying to be specific in order to make things happen. Can you hear the difference? Now you're talking about it because it feels good. Now you're talking about it because you can't stand not to talk about it. Now you're talking about it because it's who you are and it's what's showing itself to you. Now you are going with the flow of it. Are you following what we're getting at? This is such an important distinction. You want to get into the vortex and then be specific. So the rule of thumb has always been, be as specific as you can be and still feel good. And when you're not in the vortex, you can't be specific at all and feel good. But once you get into the vortex, that's when you want to start talking about it. Jerry and Esther will get into a moment in time where they're feeling so good, where something that has happened is feeling so good, and they will just milk it and milk it and milk it and milk it. Anybody listening in would think they had lost their minds because it feels so good to just keep reiterating over and over and over again how much I love you and how good life is and how fun this is and wasn't that good, and did you hear what she said, and did you see the look on her face when she said it, and did you see the look in his eyes when he heard it, and did you see how we all laughed when we did it, and do you remember what it was like when we were floating on that river, and do you remember the river guide and how clever he was and brought us right up to the edge, and I climbed right out on the boat and the sloth was hanging right down in a branch, and I looked at him and he looked at me and he moved his head and he moved his arms so slowly as if to say, I love you too. Jerry and Esther have had that conversation 15 or 20 times since they had their up close and personal relationship with the sloth on the Amazon River in Costa Rica. In other words, they just keep milking it and milking it and milking it and milking. Eric was the man who was driving the boat. He would say, can you see that crocodile? What crocodile? He would put his laser beam on it and he would shine a light right on the eye of the crocodile, and then the crocodile would look at them and they would look at it, and it would look at them and they would look at it. Just milking, milking, milking magnificent moments. You see what we're getting at? Do all of your offering of consistency and of focusing once you're sure you're in the vortex, and watch the power and the leverage of the energy that creates worlds help you manifest anything that you want endlessly, eternally. We were having fun on the Panama Canal cruise because once the enormous ship had passed through the locks of the canal, and the participants in the seminar had, for the most part, witnessed it. It was quite a thing to see. So the ship is moving from a lower body of water to a higher body of water, sort of like getting into the vortex. And these locks that this ship passed through, it was about an 84-foot raise. Now, if the ship had tried to just catapult itself up there, while it is doable, we suppose there could be jetpacks or something that could accomplish the jump, but not a very pleasant experience. So instead, it was an incremental thing. The ship just floated into this lock, and then the water was raised until the water level of this lock was the same as that at the next lock, and then the gates were just softly opened. There was hardly a wave or a ripple, and the ship just floated into the next level, and then into the next lock, and then that lock was lower than the next, so more water was added, and the ship floated upward, and then when it was equal, the gate opened, and the ship just floated into the next lock. And we were saying to our participants on the cruise that that's the way we would like you to see your vortex. In other words, when you try to jump in, it doesn't work very well. You want to be in harmonic. You want to be in rhythm. You want to be in balance. You want to be in flow. You can use any word that you want, but you get the gist of this. And if you will just take it incrementally, then your boat doesn't tip over. If you just take it incrementally, and that really is what this vibrational alignment is. You just reach and align and raise. The vortex, we began calling it the Panama vortex or the vortex canal. In other words, because we want you to realize that this valve or this opening or this passageway where the vibration of that which is you and the vibration of that which is really you can come into full blending, you see. And the less trauma, the better. So once you pass into the canal that we are even calling the vortex, there is still more to do and more to do and more to do and more to do. There is no ending to the raising and vibration, just as there is no ending of creation. It's a constant motion upward because life just keeps causing you to parlay it into a higher vibration. And then you have the thrill of coming into alignment with that higher vibration. It's a very good analogy. And it puts it into a perspective that we want you to consider. Now, there are a lot of people, in fact, most everybody you know, spends most of their time outside the vortex. They don't know about vibration. They don't know what their emotions mean. They want to be positive, and they try. They make some effort to be, but they're not really managing their vibrational flow very well. So most people are outside the vortex most of the time. And then they gather together in groups, on the internet, or just in neighborhoods. Law of attraction sort of brings them in their similarities together. And they come up with conclusions about how they and everybody else should live life. Laws are made from that group. In other words, they are the ones that decide. They sort out the good piles from the bad piles, and they decide what's the right way of life and what's the wrong way of life. And we will acknowledge that among those outside the vortex efforters, that it is evident when someone is trying and when someone isn't. They have diplomas. They have better paying jobs in many cases. They live in nicer houses in many cases. You can tell which ones are trying and which ones aren't in that out of the vortex group. But friends, it's the out of the vortex group. It's like being king of the molehill. It's the out of the vortex group. In other words, the masters come from in the vortex. Your clarity, your inspiration, your creations, your inventions, your wonderful new ideas, your zest for life comes from the inside the vortex group, you see. So we're not wanting to make you feel bad when you're out of the vortex, because certainly it adds to the step one experience. We just want you to get this into perspective and realize that next time you find yourself really digging in and trying hard, that you're working against yourself. And you might want to just chill for a while and remember who you are. Maybe listen to some meditation. Maybe count your breathing. Maybe get in sync with some music. Maybe bask a little. Maybe do something that is pleasing. Maybe do anything or everything that you can think of to release the tension that is holding you outside the vortex. And it is our promise to you that once you are aware of the existence of this vortex, and once you are aware of your guidance system, which lets you know where you are in proximity to it, and once your mantra, once your motto, once what really matters to you is, today, no matter where I'm going, no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm doing it with, it is my dominant intent to look for what I'm wanting to see. I'm agreeably oriented. I am appreciatively oriented. I comment on things that I appreciate. And when I feel an impulse to criticize, I sit on it. I don't go with it. I don't make more of it. I don't amplify it with words. I don't amplify it with groups. I don't comment on it. I no longer am trying, efforting myself into a better place. I'm practicing the art of allowing. Because I've now discovered that my inner being is in my vortex and calling me home, calling me toward all that I've become. And if I am even hanging around in the vicinity of hopefulness, my vortex calls me in on a really regular basis. And once you start living more of your life from inside the vortex, You'll have more insight. You'll have better timing. You'll feel better. Your sense of humor will be keener. Your sense of intelligence will be keener. You'll think of things, those to-do lists. You want to drag them around. You'll be at the grocery store and you'll remember what you want. You'll be moving through life and the right thing.